The hum of the space station filled the corridors as Captain Daniel Hayes walked beside the human diplomatic envoy. His boots echoed softly on the polished metal floor, a rhythm that reminded him how far he had come from his days as a simple soldier on Earth. This station was not just a neutral ground. It was a crossroads of civilizations, a place where humans and aliens met for the first time in history. Daniel had been assigned as a security escort, a role he had taken many times before, but something about this mission felt different. Heavier somehow. He had seen alien faces before, but none like those awaiting them now. The ambassadors whispered among themselves, their voices polite but tense. And Daniel's hand hovered near his sidearm, not for aggression, but for comfort. He was trained for danger, yes. Nothing could have prepared him for what was about to happen. The grand chamber opened before them, and Daniel stopped, his breath caught. The room was vast, its ceilings stretching higher than any cathedral he had ever seen. Walls of shimmering crystal reflected a soft silver light, and the floor seemed to float on mist, though no smoke nor water was visible. At the far end, elevated on a platform of unknown material, sat the alien queen. She was breathtaking. Taller than any human, her skin glimmered like polished metal in the light. Her eyes were silver pools that seemed to see everything at once. Her crown, if it could be called, that was not gold or jewels, but an intricate lattice of some living material that pulsed softly, almost like it was breathing. Daniel had seen kings, generals, and leaders bow before him in training and in ceremonies, but this was unlike anything he had imagined. The alien queen's gaze locked onto him. Daniel felt a shiver run down his spine. Then, in a motion so sudden that the human diplomats gasped, she rose from her throne. Every head in the chamber followed her movement, their murmurs falling into silence. And then she knelt. Daniel froze. He could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. His mind raced, trying to understand why the alien queen, ruler of an entire species, would kneel before him. He was just a soldier, nothing special, nothing royal, nothing prophetic. Just a man. The room was silent except for the queen's soft breath. No translator had yet spoken, but her voice, though strange, carried authority and reverence at the same time. She knelt, her silver eyes fixed on Daniel, as if she were seeing someone she had waited a lifetime to meet. The human diplomats exchanged bewildered looks. "Is this part of their custom?" whispered one ambassador. Another shook her head. "I've read every report we have on their rituals. Nothing mentions this." Daniel's own mouth felt dry. Your Majesty," he ventured cautiously. I don't understand." "Why are you?" Before he could finish, one of the alien attendants moved forward. They spoke in a language so fluid it almost sounded like music, and a translator device hanging around Daniel's neck struggled to keep up. Words poured out, haltingly converted into English, the one of the Starbearer lineage. "Only he may stand here." Daniel's eyes widened. "Starbearer." He repeated, unsure if he had heard correctly. The queen nodded slowly, her expression solemn. She did not rise, did not break her gaze. The entire alien court watched, silent and tense, as if the very air had grown heavier with expectation. Daniel's training screamed at him to stay composed, but he could feel the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon him. He swallowed hard. I don't know what that means. I'm just Captain Hayes, a soldier." The queen's hand lifted slightly, palm open, and she spoke again. The translator caught the words, "You bear the mark." The one foretold. "You are the star-bearer." Daniel blinked. His mind tried to catch up. He had heard stories. Yes. About prophecies, ancient alien texts, myths of a chosen figure who would appear among humans and aliens alike to guide them through a coming darkness. He had laughed at such tales before, dismissed them as fantasy, yet here he was, standing in a crystal chamber on an alien station, with the queen kneeling before him, her words confirming the impossible. The human ambassador stepped forward nervously. "Captain Hayes, perhaps this is a misunderstanding. We need to..." Queen raised a slender hand, and the court hushed him instantly. Even the ambassadors froze. Her gesture was not threatening but final. She would speak to no one else until she had spoken to Daniel. Daniel's mind spun. "Why me?" he asked softly, almost to himself. I'm not special. I'm not anything like a prophet." The Queen's eyes softened slightly, a hint of something almost human in her expression. "You do not know yet, but you will. You are the one who will unite our worlds, who will guide us through the coming storm." The words made little sense to Daniel, yet something in her tone, in the weight of her kneel, and the certainty of her gaze made his knees weak. He realized this was no ritual, no accident. The alien queen had seen something in him, something that perhaps even he did not understand. The court began to stir. Whispers moved through the alien nobles like a wave. Some faces showed awe, others suspicion. One figure in the back muttered sharply to an attendant, and the translator coughed out fragments. "Dangerous, human, cannot be. Prophecy." Daniel swallowed again. "Is someone trying to?" he began, but the Queen shook her. "Head, you are safe with me," she said softly, yet every word rang with authority. "But others may not see it as I do. Be prepared." Even as the words sank in, Daniel could sense the tension in the room. He had been trained for war, for ambushes, for tactical operations in hostile environments. But this was something different. Political intrigue, cultural mysteries, ancient prophecies, and him right at the center. The Queen, finally, rose. Her movement was graceful, deliberate. She did not bow again, but she did not turn away. Instead, she gestured toward him, inviting him to come forward. Every eye in the chamber followed, human and alien alike. Daniel hesitated, then stepped toward her. His boots made a soft thud on the misty floor. As he approached, the Queen extended her hand, and he noticed the faint pulse of energy, almost like a heartbeat coming from her crown. It was subtle, but unmistakable. "You do not know me," she said, her voice carrying through the translator, "but I have awaited you for many cycles. You carry the bloodline, the spark that will guide us. Will you accept this destiny?" Daniel stopped short. He looked around the chamber at the aliens who were watching, at the humans who were whispering frantically among themselves. His training, his life, his entire existence had never prepared him for this question. He started, then hesitated. How could he accept something he didn't understand? Yet as he looked into her eyes, he felt something stir within him, a sense of responsibility, a strange connection that went beyond words or logic. Before he could speak, a sudden commotion erupted at the edge of the chamber. One of the alien factions had stepped forward, their guards raised, their weapons hummed softly, and Daniel instinctively moved in front of the Queen. The diplomats gasped, but he was already scanning the room, calculating possibilities, recalling every combat drill he had learned. The Queen's expression remained calm, even serene. She placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. "Do not fear them. You are here because you must be. They cannot stop what is coming." Daniel's mind raced. Who were they? Why did they care about a prophecy he barely understood? And what had he done to merit the Queen's reverence? The intruding faction hesitated, and the Queen raised her hand once more. Energy rippled from her crown, faint but powerful, causing the attackers to pause, their weapons lowering slightly. The chamber's air seemed to hum with her presence, and Daniel felt a strange warmth radiating through him. It was then that he realized this was only the beginning. Whatever prophecy she spoke of, whatever destiny she believed him to carry, he was no longer just a soldier. He was the center of an event that would change both human and alien worlds forever. As the Queen knelt one final time before stepping back to her throne, Daniel took a deep breath. He didn't understand it yet. He might never fully understand it. But one thing was clear: his life, and the fate of countless others, had just been irrevocably altered. And in that moment, in the gleaming chamber where humans and aliens stared alike, Daniel Hayes understood the weight of being chosen. The Queen's silver eyes met his once more, and in them He saw a promise and a challenge both. You will rise, Starbearer. The universe will know your name. The chamber was still. Daniel Hayes had barely recovered from the shock of the Queen kneeling before him when the human diplomats began whispering urgently. He could hear phrases like diplomatic protocol and cultural misunderstanding, but Daniel was too absorbed in what had just happened to respond. The image of the alien queen, kneeling, the gesture so unimaginable, so humbling, kept flashing in his mind. He followed the queen as she led him through the twisting halls of the alien palace. The walls shimmered in shades of silver and violet, pulsing faintly as if alive. Every step Daniel took seemed amplified in the quiet, making him feel heavier, as if gravity itself wanted him to pause and think about the destiny that had just been thrust upon him. The queen finally stopped in front of a massive door, unlike anything Daniel had seen before. Its surface was smooth, yet faint patterns rippled across it, almost like flowing water. She touched it lightly, and the door parted without a sound, revealing a private chamber bathed in soft, golden light. "You may sit," the queen said, her voice calm but commanding. Her silver eyes studied him carefully, as if reading not just his body, but his thoughts, his fears, and the doubts he had not yet voiced. Daniel hesitated. He was used to commanding respect as a soldier, but here, in this alien space, everything felt upside down. I don't understand," he admitted quietly. "Why me? I'm just a human soldier. I don't belong in this prophecy, or whatever this is." The queen moved closer and placed a delicate hand on his shoulder. "The prophecy is old, older than your species knows. Many cycles ago, an event was foretold. An event was foretold a figure would unite human and alien worlds in a time of great darkness. You carry the mark, Captain Hayes. It is in your blood, your lineage. You are the Starbearer." Daniel's mind raced. "Lineage? I don't even know what you mean. I'm just Daniel Hayes. My parents were normal humans. I grew up on Earth. There's nothing special about me." The queen's gaze softened. "You may think so, but the threads of destiny are not always visible. You are chosen because of what you are, and what you will become. The choice is no longer yours. It has been made for you." Daniel swallowed hard. He'd faced impossible odds in battle. He had survived ambushes and wars, but this was beyond comprehension. His hands tightened into fists. He had to understand. He had to know if this was real or some elaborate alien deception. "Then why did you kneel?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Why me? I don't understand." Why a queen would bow before a soldier. The queen's eyes glimmered. "Because I have waited for the Starbearer my entire life, and now, at last, I see him." She paused. "The moment I saw you, I knew. The prophecy speaks not just of blood, but of the spirit. You are what was foretold. You carry the hope of our people and of yours." Daniel's chest tightened. Hope? Responsibility? He had spent his life carrying orders, following them without question. But now the weight of something much larger pressed down on him. He realized that he was not just part of a mission. Was at the center of a turning point in history, one that could unite or destroy two species. The queen gestured to a holographic display in the center of the room. A map of the alien planet and its surrounding systems floated in midair, glowing softly. Several points pulsed in red. "Danger approaches," she explained. "Asteroids, comets, cosmic storms, threats that your people cannot yet comprehend. But the prophecy warns of a Starbearer who will guide us through the coming darkness." Daniel studied the map. Looked like something out of a science textbook, but he could see the danger clearly. "You're saying I'm supposed to? Help you stop this? Me? I don't even know anything about your technology. You will learn," the queen said simply. "We will teach you. But first, you must understand the truth of your heritage." Her words puzzled him. "Heritage? What do you mean?" "The Starbearer's bloodline is part human, part unknown. Long ago, humans arrived on our world. They left behind descendants who carried the spark of unity. You were one of them." She looked at him intently. "The proof lies within you, in your instincts, in your courage, in your heart. You cannot yet see it, but it is there. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Memories he had long forgotten stirred in his mind. Stories his grandfather had told him of space travel, of lost explorers, of ancient encounters with worlds beyond Earth. Could it be possible? Could his bloodline really carry this strange mark? Before he could ask more, the chamber door opened abruptly. A young alien attendant stepped in, urgency in their movements. "Your Majesty, the council wishes to speak with the Star-Bearer immediately," the attendant said. Daniel's pulse quickened. Council. What did that mean? Were these the same alien nobles from the chamber earlier, the ones who had been whispering and watching him with suspicion? Yes, the Queen replied. They will come to understand. But first, Captain Hayes, you must prepare. Your presence alone has already unsettled the factions. Some see you as a savior, others as a threat. You must be ready for both reverence and attack. Daniel swallowed again, nodding slowly. Attack. The Queen's expression did not waver. Yes. There are those among my people who do not wish the prophecy to come true. Some will try to stop you before the moment has fully arrived. Must be vigilant. Must trust only those who have proven loyalty. The weight of her words pressed down on him. Daniel had faced enemies before, but this was different. These were not strangers from a battlefield he could see, not mercenaries he could fight with tactics he knew. These were the people around him, some of whom would smile politely while plotting his downfall. He clenched his fists. Then tell me what to do. Ow. I don't understand the prophecy, but if danger comes, I will protect you. And your people. The Queen's lips curved slightly, almost like a smile. Good. That is the first step. Courage is as important as wisdom. Come, we will meet the council. The chamber transformed as they left. The corridors grew wider, lined with tall crystalline pillars that reflected the ambient light. Daniel noticed alien symbols etched into the walls, glowing faintly as if acknowledging his presence. Every step reminded him that he was no longer just a human soldier, was part of something much larger, something that had been written long before. He was born. Finally, they arrived at another grand hall, this one filled with alien council members. Their forms varied widely, some tall and lean, others short and compact. Some had 4 arms, some none. Their skin ranged from deep indigo to pale silver. All of them were watching him. All of them were waiting. The Queen stepped forward. Council, this is the Star-Bearer. He has come to fulfill the prophecy. He will guide us through what is coming. Murmurs swept through the council. Daniel felt their scrutiny like blades against his skin. One figure, a tall alien with dark violet eyes, spoke sharply. Why should we trust a human? How can a mere outsider carry the fate of our people? Daniel took a deep breath. I don't know about prophecy. I don't know why I'm here. But I know what it means to fight for something bigger than myself. If you trust me to help protect your people, I'll do it. I won't fail you. The room fell silent. The council members exchanged glances, some skeptical, some intrigued. The young attendant from before whispered to the Queen, who nodded subtly. Finally, the violet-eyed alien spoke again, but his tone had softened. Perhaps courage is as important as lineage. We will observe you. You may have a chance to prove yourself, Star-Bearer. Daniel nodded. His heart pounded, but he felt a strange clarity. This was his chance to step into something larger than war, larger than Earth, larger than anything he had known. He was no longer just Captain Hayes. He was at the start of a destiny that would span worlds. The Queen placed her hand gently on his arm. Rest for now. Tomorrow, your lessons begin. You will learn our language, our history, our technology. You will meet those who will fight by your side and those who will try to stop you. Be ready, Captain Hayes. Your path has begun. As he left the hall, escorted by the young attendant, Daniel felt a mix of fear and determination. He had faced impossible odds before, but this was something beyond anything he had imagined. Yet deep inside, he felt a spark of flicker, of certainty that he was exactly where he was meant to be, That night, as he looked out over the alien city from the quarters the Queen had assigned him, Daniel reflected on everything he had learned. The prophecy, the star-bearer, the kneeling of a queen. It all seemed surreal. Yet he could not deny the strange pull in his chest, the feeling that something extraordinary was waiting for him. Somewhere out there, in the stars above the alien world, a cosmic storm was approaching. And Captain Daniel Hayes, the human soldier who had thought his life was ordinary, was now at the heart of it. The star-bearer, the hope of two civilizations. And tomorrow his real journey would begin. The first light of the alien sun filtered through the tall, crystalline windows of Daniel Hayes' quarters, casting shifting patterns across the floor. The city below stirred with life, alien ships lifting from landing pads, glimmering spires, reflecting sunlight in silver and violet tones. Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the patterns, trying to make sense of the past 24 hours. He had been kneeling in confusion and awe yesterday. Today, he would begin learning the truth, the prophecy, the star-bearer lineage, the Queen's faith, all of it pressed down on him like the weight of a planet. Yet despite the fear that churned in his stomach, a spark of determination burned. He had survived wars. He had led soldiers through impossible situations. Perhaps this was simply another mission, one that required not bullets, but wisdom. A soft chime alerted him to the presence of his guide. The door opened, and the young alien attendant who had escorted him yesterday stepped in. Their skin shimmered faintly, and their four hands moved gracefully as they carried a small device. "Captain Hayes," the attendant said in a polite tone, their translator converting every word into clear English. "The Queen requests your presence. Your lessons begin today. She will explain the history and technology of our people, as well as your lineage." Daniel nodded and followed them through the corridors, moving past the grand halls and crystalline chambers he had glimpsed yesterday. Each step seemed to echo the Queen's words in his mind. "You are the one who will unite our worlds." Finally, they arrived at a library unlike anything Daniel had seen before. It was massive, circular, and lined from floor to ceiling with data crystals. Each crystal pulsed softly, holding the histories, records, and knowledge of the alien civilization. The smell of ozone and polished crystal filled the air. The Queen stood in the center, waiting. Her silver eyes caught his gaze immediately. "Good. You have come," she said, her voice calm and unwavering. "Today you will learn the truth of your bloodline. You are not merely a soldier. You carry the legacy of humans who came to our world centuries ago. They left descendants among us, and you are one of them." Daniel swallowed. "Descendants? You mean someone in my family lived here before?" The Queen nodded. "Yes. Long before humans established interstellar travel, a small vessel reached this world. Its crew integrated with our people, sharing knowledge and culture. From them, a lineage of humans continued. Your ancestors carried qualities of courage, wisdom, and unity. These qualities appear in you, though you have yet to recognize them." Daniel felt a shiver. Could it be true? His grandfather had told stories, but they had seemed fanciful, bedtime tales. Now, standing before the Queen, hearing her certainty, he could not dismiss them. "How do I know it's real?" he asked. "I mean, I'm not different. I don't feel anything special." The Queen stepped closer, raising her hand to the center of a data crystal. The surface rippled, revealing images of Earth. A spaceship crashed centuries ago, and humans interacting with alien societies. "Look closely," she said. "See the bonds your ancestors forged, the courage they displayed, the choices they made. These are in your blood, Captain Hayes. The prophecy calls for someone with these qualities, someone who can unite two worlds when danger arises. That someone is you." Daniel's eyes widened as he absorbed the holographic images. He recognized landmarks from Earth, images from old historical records, even a depiction of what looked like his grandfather in human clothing. The realization hit him like a shockwave. He was not merely a random soldier. He was the living continuation of a story that had begun centuries ago, story that the Queen believed was now his to fulfill. Before he could speak further, a loud alarm echoed through the library. The data crystals flickered, and the attendants for hands moved rapidly across a console. Warning.
Ow.
An intruder is approaching the palace. Unauthorized weapons detected. Daniel's training kicked in instantly. He scanned the room, noting escape routes, defensive positions, and the layout of the building. The Queen remained calm, her silver eyes sharp and observant. "It seems the factions who doubt you are impatient," she said quietly. "They will try to stop you before you fully understand your role." Daniel felt a surge of adrenaline. This was more than a lesson. This was a test, one that could decide his survival and the safety of the Queen. "What should I do?" he asked. "Follow me," she said, moving with a grace that seemed almost supernatural. They moved through a series of hidden corridors and passages known only to the Queen and her most trusted attendants. Daniel followed closely, his mind racing. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him, the prophecy no longer abstract, but a living, breathing challenge. They reached a chamber filled with alien technology. Ships of various sizes hovered on magnetic pads, their designs sleek and otherworldly. The Queen gestured to one of the smaller craft. "You will pilot this," she said. "You must learn to operate our technology. You'll need every skill. You have to face what is coming." Daniel approached the ship cautiously. Its controls were unlike anything he had trained on. Panels glowed with symbols, levers, and touch surfaces, responded to thought and touch. He ran his hands over them, trying to understand the interface. The Queen watched silently. "You will adapt," she said simply. "The spirit of the Star-Bearer learns quickly. Trust yourself." Daniel nodded, focusing on the controls. He experimented carefully, guided by instinct and memory of piloting training on Earth. Slowly, the ship responded.
Oh.
It lifted slightly. Off the pad, hovering steadily, he felt a thrill. Perhaps he was learning faster than he realized. As he practiced, the chamber doors burst open. A group of alien soldiers, masked and armed, charged in. Daniel instinctively braced himself. The Queen raised a hand, and an energy shield flared around the room, slowing their approach. The intruders paused, confused. Daniel's mind raced. These were not random attackers. They were part of the factions that opposed the prophecy. They wanted to eliminate him before he could fulfill the Star-Bearer's role. Without thinking, Daniel leapt into the pilot seat of the hovering ship. He activated the engines, and the ship rose swiftly, moving toward the open corridors. The intruders shouted, unsure how to respond. Daniel navigated through the twisting passages, avoiding collisions. Guided by instinct and adrenaline, the Queen's voice came through the ship's communicator. "Good, you move with courage. That is what the Star-Bearer must possess. Strength alone will not save you. Wisdom and alliance are just as important." Daniel nodded, even though she could not see him. He could feel the truth of her words. This was not just a physical test. It was a challenge of strategy, judgment, and leadership. After several tense minutes, Daniel emerged into a large hangar where the Queen's loyal forces were waiting. The intruders had been intercepted, but the message was clear. He was not safe yet. Some among the alien factions would stop at nothing to prevent the prophecy from unfolding. The Queen stepped beside him. "You have passed the first test, Captain Hayes, but many more will come. You must learn to navigate not only the dangers from outside, but also the politics within. How the prophecy will not be fulfilled by courage alone." Daniel took a deep breath, realizing the weight of her words. The Star-Bearer was not just a soldier. He was a leader, a unifier, someone who would have to win trust and loyalty while facing enemies on all sides. Over the next days, Daniel immersed himself in the lessons of the Queen. He studied the history of the alien civilization, the stories of humans who had lived among them centuries ago, and the principles of leadership and diplomacy. He practiced piloting ships, learning their complex systems. Every day brought new challenges, new knowledge, and new realization of how enormous his role had become. Yet despite the fear, despite the confusion, Daniel felt a growing confidence. He was beginning to understand his place, the meaning of the Star-Bearer, and the responsibility he carried. He was not just a soldier anymore. He was a symbol, a bridge between worlds, a beacon of hope for two civilizations standing on the edge of an unknown future. And deep inside, he could not deny the thrill that came with it. For the first time in his life, Daniel Hayes was not merely following orders. He was choosing to rise to embrace a destiny larger than himself, to stand for something that could change the course of history. But he knew one truth. Above all, the real challenges were just beginning. The factions that doubted him would not rest. The dangers from the cosmos were approaching. The choices he made in the days to come would determine the fate of two worlds. As Daniel looked out over the alien city that night, he felt a mixture of fear, determination, and awe. The stars above were not just points of light, they were destinations, threats, and promises all at once. Somewhere out there, the prophecy awaited its fulfillment. Now he was the key. For the first time, Daniel understood what it meant to be the Star-Bearer. And tomorrow, he would begin the journey that would test every ounce of his courage, wisdom, and heart. The alien sun rose over the crystalline city, casting long shadows across the towers and spires. Daniel Hayes stood on a balcony overlooking the bustling streets below. I had spent days learning the ways of this world, studying alien technology, mastering the language, and observing the subtle politics of the court. Yet the deeper he delved, the more he realized that his role as the Star-Bearer was far from simple. The factions opposed to him were clever, patient, and ruthless. Yesterday's intrusion had been a warning, not an isolated attack. Some council members whispered that humans could not be trusted, that the prophecy was a dangerous illusion. Others, loyal to the Queen, rallied behind him, offering guidance and support. Daniel knew that navigating this maze of loyalty and deceit would be as critical as any battle he had fought on Earth. A sharp chime echoed through the room, signaling the Queen's call. Daniel followed his attendant through winding corridors to the central chamber where she awaited. Her silver eyes caught his immediately, radiating calm authority. "Captain Hayes," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "Today we will begin the next stage. You have learned the basics, but now the real test begins. You must unite factions that doubt you, prove your leadership, and confront threats that grow beyond our world." Daniel nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I understand, Your Majesty, but how do I start? Some of them clearly don't want me here." The Queen gestured to a holographic display. Images of the planet and nearby space systems appeared, glowing faintly. Red markers blinked over several points. "The cosmic storm approaches," she explained. "Asteroids and rogue comets move toward our homeworld. Your people and mine must act together to survive. But first, you must gain the trust of the Council. They will provide resources, knowledge, and fleets if they believe in you. If not, our efforts will fail." Daniel studied the map. The threat was enormous. Thousands of asteroids, some large enough to destroy entire cities, hurtled through space on collision courses with the planet. He had faced impossible odds before, but nothing like this. The fate of an entire world and his own species rested on his ability to unite enemies as allies. "Then I will speak with them," he said. "I'll find a way to gain their trust. If our worlds are to survive, there is no other choice." The Queen's gaze softened. "Remember, courage alone is not enough. You must listen, negotiate, and anticipate their motives. Some may hide loyalty behind smiles. Others may plot openly. Watch carefully, Captain Hayes. Learn quickly." Daniel spent the next several hours in council chambers, seated among alien nobles whose expressions ranged from curiosity to suspicion. He presented his ideas, outlined strategies for the cosmic threat, and tried to demonstrate that humans and aliens could collaborate. Many nodded politely, but skepticism lingered like a shadow over every word he spoke. One faction, led by the violetide alien from before, challenged him openly. "Why should we follow a human soldier? You know nothing of our people, our technology, our ways. You are an outsider. Why would we trust you with our survival?" Daniel met his gaze steadily. "Because I have no reason to act against your people," he said. "I have seen what the storm will bring. If we fight alone, we fail. Together, we have a chance. I may be human, but I am willing to put everything at risk to save your world, your people, and mine." The chamber fell silent. Some aliens exchanged wary glances while others appeared intrigued. Slowly the queen spoke. It was the Starbearers. "Courage, that is the first step. But leadership is more than courage. He must prove his wisdom." Daniel left the council chambers and returned to the training halls, where alien engineers and pilots were preparing for simulations. His task was to pilot ships through asteroid fields, coordinate defenses, and demonstrate his ability to command multi-species teams. Each exercise tested not just skill, but judgment, patience, and the ability to earn trust. Hours passed as Daniel guided fleets of ships through holographic projections of the approaching storm. Some alien pilots resisted his commands, challenging his authority, yet Daniel persisted. He adapted to their methods, learned their tactics, and gradually won their respect. By the end of the day, even the skeptical faction members nodded at his competence. But as evening fell, Daniel sensed tension growing beyond the palace walls. Reports reached him of unusual activity in nearby settlements' attacks that seemed to be coordinated by factions opposed to the prophecy. The queen confirmed his fears. "Those who doubt you fear what you represent. They may try to strike directly at the people, hoping to undermine our unity. You must prepare for both battle and diplomacy." Daniel felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. On Earth, he had faced ambushes and skirmishes. Here the stakes were higher, but the principles were the same. Protect the innocent, outthink the enemy, and stay one step ahead. The night brought uneasy rest. Daniel lay in his quarters, staring at the alien sky. Stars he had never seen before twinkled with distant light. Somewhere out there, the cosmic storm moved closer. Somewhere, factions plotted to challenge him. And somewhere deep inside, a growing sense of responsibility burned Anne, understanding that he was no longer a participant in events. He was the center of them. The next morning, the palace erupted in alarms. Sensors detected multiple rogue ships approaching the planet, piloted by the opposition faction. Daniel rushed to the control room where the queen and her advisors coordinated defenses. He felt the weight of leadership pressing down on him, but he did not hesitate. "Divert all available ships to intercept," Daniel commanded. His voice was firm, clear, and surprisingly steady. "Coordinate with human pilots. Protect the population centers first. You cannot afford mistakes." The holographic display showed fleets moving into formation. Daniel guided them through the chaos, dodging asteroid debris and countering enemy attacks. The opposition faction was skilled, but Daniel's ability to anticipate their moves, combined with his trust in the loyal council members, turned the tide. After hours of tense maneuvering, the rogue ships were driven back, though not without cost. Several vessels were damaged and casualties occurred on both sides. The queen approached Daniel, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You acted with courage and wisdom," she said softly. "The people see it. Even those who doubted you now recognize your skill, but this is only the beginning. Greater challenges await." Daniel nodded, feeling both relief and renewed determination. He had faced one test, but the cosmic storm loomed larger than any enemy he had fought. The unity of humans and aliens depended on him continuing to lead, to inspire, to confront threats with courage and intelligence. Over the next few days, Daniel continued to train, lead, and negotiate. He worked closely with alien engineers to enhance defenses, collaborated with pilots to perfect maneuvers, and studied ancient texts that detailed previous human interactions with the alien world. Each lesson brought new understanding, new respect from his allies, and new challenges as opposition factions tried subtle sabotage through it all. Daniel never forgot the queen's words: "Courage alone is not enough. Wisdom and alliance are just as important." He realized that leadership was not just about giving orders or demonstrating skill. It was about trust, vision, the ability to see beyond immediate danger to the long-term survival of both species. One evening, as the city glittered under twin moons, Daniel stood on the balcony once more. The wind carried a faint metallic scent, and the hum of the city reminded him of the vastness of what lay ahead. The cosmic storm would arrive soon, and every decision he made in the coming hours could determine life or death for countless beings. Yet despite the fear, despite the pressure, he felt ready. He was no longer just a human soldier. He was the Star-Bearer, chosen to unite two civilizations, to face challenges beyond imagination, and to guide them through darkness. The kneeling queen, the skeptical council, the loyal pilots all were part of the path he now walked, and somewhere in the depths of space, the cosmic storm approached, unaware of the human who would rise to meet it. Unaware that the fate of worlds rested in the hands of Captain Daniel Hayes, the twin suns of the alien world rose together, casting a brilliant glow across the crystalline city. Daniel Hayes stood atop a command tower, looking out at the fleet of ships arrayed below. The cosmic storm had arrived. Thousands of asteroids, comets, and rogue space debris hurtled toward the planet, moving with terrifying speed. Every ship, every soldier, every citizen below relied on him now. The weight of responsibility pressed on him like gravity. But he did not waver. The queen appeared at his side, her silver eyes calm and steady. "Captain Hayes," she said softly, "today the prophecy begins its fulfillment. Worlds depends on your decisions. Trust yourself and those who have proven loyalty. Courage and wisdom will guide you." Daniel nodded, feeling a surge of determination. He had trained, learned, and faced doubt from council members, resistance, from alien factions, and even fear within himself. But all of that had prepared him for this moment. He was no longer just a human soldier. He was the Star-Bearer. The command room buzzed with activity. Human and alien pilots communicated in unison, following the coordinated plans Daniel had developed. Over the past days, engineers monitored shields and energy fields, while strategic officers projected the storm's movements across the holographic display. Daniel moved among them, giving orders, adjusting formations, and anticipating the paths of incoming threats. "Captain," one alien pilot said, their voice tense, "the larger asteroids are approaching. Our shields can hold, but only briefly." Daniel's mind raced. He calculated trajectories, assessed weapon ranges, and considered the coordination between human and alien fleets. "Focus fire on the largest clusters," he instructed. "Use synchronized maneuvers to redirect smaller debris away from population. Centers, humans and aliens must act as one. Timing is everything." The first wave hit. Energy shields flared, beams of light slicing through space to break apart incoming asteroids. The air vibrated with the hum of engines and the tension of imminent danger. Daniel watched every screen, every pilot, every ship. He felt the rhythm of the battle, the pulse of life and destruction intertwined. One particularly massive asteroid barreled toward a city center. Daniel's mind worked quickly. All interceptors converge on Vector 7 Alpha. Use combined plasma bursts to fracture it before it reaches the atmosphere. The pilots responded instantly, moving as a single entity. Human and alien ships flew in perfect synchronization, their energy beams striking the asteroids simultaneously. The rock fractured, fragments scattering harmlessly into space. Daniel exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and adrenaline, but the storm was relentless. Another wave arrived, faster, larger, more chaotic. Daniel realized that brute force alone would not save the planet. He needed strategy, unity, and trust. He turned to the Queen, who had moved closer. "We need to coordinate the fleets more efficiently. They must follow a single plan, not separate agendas." The Queen nodded. "Do it, Star-Bearer. Lead them." Daniel activated the communication channels, broadcasting a clear, concise plan to all units. He spoke with authority and clarity, guiding ships through asteroid fields, diverting comets, and maximizing the use of energy shields. Slowly, the fleets began to move in harmony, human and alien forces acting as one. Hours passed. The storm raged, testing every skill, every decision, every ounce of courage Daniel had. Pilots began to trust his commands. Engineers anticipated his strategies, and even the skeptical council members acknowledged his leadership. Daniel felt the truth of the Queen's words. Courage, wisdom, and alliance were the keys to survival. In the midst of the chaos, Daniel received reports of opposition faction ships attempting to exploit the storm's confusion. They fired on unprotected supply convoys and targeted weak points in the city's defenses. Daniel clenched his fists. They had doubted him, challenged him, and now sought to take advantage of the crisis. Prepare countermeasures, he ordered. Divert loyal forces to protect the vulnerable areas. We cannot allow sabotage to undo our efforts. Every life counts. The counterattack was swift. Human and alien ships moved to intercept the rogue faction, their combined forces overwhelming. The attackers. The opposition fleet was scattered, many ships destroyed, others fleeing into the void. Daniel watched as the final threats were neutralized, feeling the surge of accomplishment and responsibility, but the storm was not over. The largest cluster of asteroids remained, heading straight for the planet's equator. Daniel realized this was the ultimate test. Failure here meant catastrophe. He needed a plan that combined every resource, every ally, and every strategy he had learned. He gathered the council and senior pilots for a quick briefing. We will form a defensive perimeter. Around the equator, he explained, human and alien ships will work together to intercept and redirect the largest debris. Energy shields will reinforce key cities. Everyone must follow my lead precisely. Timing and unity will save the planet. The Queen placed a hand on his shoulder. I trust you, Starbearer. The people trust you. Lead them. Daniel nodded, feeling a deep sense of connection to both worlds. He activated the command protocols, guiding ships into position. The largest asteroids approached, glowing like molten metal in the sunlight. Daniel's heart pounded, but he remained focused. Calculating angles, distances, and trajectories, the fleet struck in unison. Plasma bursts, energy shields, and precise maneuvers fractured the massive asteroids, diverting them away from the planet. Explosions lit the sky, debris scattered harmlessly into space, and slowly the storm began to lose its power. Daniel breathed deeply. The planet was safe for now. Humans and aliens cheered, their unity evident in their synchronized movements and shared relief. The skeptical factions nodded in acknowledgement, their doubts replaced by respect. The Queen approached him once more. You have done it, Starbearer, she said. You have proven your courage, your wisdom, and your ability to unite worlds. The prophecy has begun its fulfillment. But remember, this is only the beginning. Challenges will continue, and your role will grow. You are not just a protector. You are a leader, a symbol, a bridge between species. Daniel smiled, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. He had faced impossible odds, earned trust, and guided both humans and aliens through a crisis that could have ended in disaster. He realized that the prophecy was not just about destiny, it was about choice, courage, and unity. The Queen gestured to the skies. Look, Starbearer. See how humans and aliens stand together. This is the future you have forged. Daniel gazed at the fleets, the cities, and the stars beyond. For the first time, he truly understood his role. He was the Starbearer, chosen to guide and unite. The kneeling Queen, the skeptical council, the loyal pilots all had played their part, but he had led as night fell. The twin moons illuminated the city, casting silver and violet light across the streets. The Queen on the balcony once more, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the thrill of accomplishment. He had faced the storm, united factions, and proven himself. The Queen's silver eyes met his. Captain Hayes, Starbearer, the journey continues. There will be more challenges, more threats, and more decisions to make. But today, you have shown that courage, wisdom, and unity can overcome even the greatest of dangers. Daniel nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. He looked out at the city, the fleets, and the stars. Somewhere beyond the horizon, other challenges awaited, other threats loomed, but he was ready. He had embraced his destiny, and he would continue to rise. The prophecy had been fulfilled in part, but its spirit, the unity of worlds, the courage of the Starbearer would live on. And Daniel Hayes, the human soldier who had once been ordinary, now stood as a symbol of hope, strength, and the potential of humans to rise among the stars. The winds of the twin moons carried a gentle hum. Daniel knew without doubt that this was only the beginning. He was no longer just a man. He was the star-bearer, a bridge between worlds, a protector of life, and a hero of two civilizations. And as the stars shone brightly above, Daniel Hayes took a deep breath, ready to face whatever the universe would throw at him next.